Morning.
Good morning. Tybals are here.
I wonder if I lost my video. Let's see here. I'm going to make my own coffee today. Now I don't have sound right now, so this is not good. don't know if I've lost my sound or if she's just not talking. Huh?
Do your thing down here.
Down here,
Yeah, no, over to the left for the broadcast. This middle one.
this one,
This one.
that's my internet.
Oh, mine's.
This is my speaker. Microphone is on. I had my audio before and then it disappeared. So I don't know. Somebody shared their own screen. This is
Right. Oh, yep. Even on our call the other night, they were doing dumb things.
I have my myself
I had to put my hood up because my hat blew off. So my hood
wow.
closed off.
Wow. Well, if I can't hear it, then I'm not gonna sit here.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll be started in just a few minutes.
There, Don. I do have sound. Okie doke.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I hear that you can hear me. That's so fantastic. Can some of you give me a thumbs up just so I can see? We're waiting for a few more people to join us, but can I just see a few thumbs up from people that you can hear what I'm saying? Oh, that's great. Wonderful. Well, welcome. I'm sitting here in the museum this morning, and it's just really fun to be back here, although, of course, we wish that all of you were back here, too. I'm going to give everybody just a few more minutes to join. All right. Well, I'm seeing a critical mass, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. This is our first live Coffee with a Curator event for our members, and we are so glad you're here. We wish that you could all be here in the museum with us, but we're going to do our best to give you kind of the experience that you would have if you were coming to the lobby to enjoy coffee from our partners at Bootstrap Coffee Roasters. So I'm just going to kick this off with a brief introduction and talk you through the setup for the event. This Coffee with a Curator event is a virtual offering for thoughtful, engaged friends like all of you. We'll be doing this monthly from here on out, and we always welcome your ideas and suggestions for topics and ways to stay connected. Just a quick event overview. We're going to start with the presentation by our friend Christina from Bootstrap Coffee Roasters, and we will have time for a Q&A following her presentation about coffee preparation and coffee science. I want to give you a few quick Zoom reminders. All of you should be on mute right now. If you're not on mute, you can go to the bottom of the screen and look at your options there, and please do make sure your microphone is muted. If you want to turn on your camera so we can see your smiling faces, that's fine. Or if you want to stay incognito, that's also a-okay. I do want to do a quick test though. When we're getting ready for the Q&A session, there's two ways you can chat with us. The best way to do that is by using the chat function. And again, if you just wave your cursor over the bottom, you should be able to see a chat window. So if we can just quick try a chat right now, why don't all of you just chat to us your favorite kind of coffee preparation? Mine is a latte. And I see some chats popping up here. My chat's working. Oh, there, look, I see latte straight, any coffee with caffeine, double latte first thing in the morning, fantastic. You are all clearly familiar with the chat function. So when we get to the Q&A, you'll chat your questions to me and I will send those out to Christina. I might ask for some reactions from time to time. So if I can also get all of you to do a thumbs up for me right now, just so that I can see that that's working. You can always also use the reaction buttons at the bottom of your screen to do a thumbs up. Oh, mom gave us a thumbs up. That's fantastic. I see one from Ann too. Great. Good. So everyone's got a quick handle on the Zoom. We all know what we're doing today. I'm going to kick it over right now to start the program to our Senior Membership Manager, Amanda Rothstein, to introduce our guest, Christina Olson of Bootstrap Coffee Roasters. Amanda, I'm handing it over to you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad that you're all here with us today. As Aaliyah said, I'm Amanda Rothstein. I'm the Senior Membership Manager at the Science Museum, and I'm a huge coffee fan, so I'm very excited to be here with all of you guys this morning. As I've been sipping on my third cup of coffee, I've been thinking a little bit this morning about all of the science that's related to coffee. And I know there's a lot of science lessons and fun facts we could share, but I'll just keep it short and share a couple quick hits with you guys. First of all, I don't know if you know this, but we have in the collection at the museum over 2 million objects that we have a couple that actually relate to coffee. So the first one I want to share with you is in our biology department. We have coffee plants as part of our herbarium. And Aaliyah is going to pull up a picture for us here. That's the coffee plant. Unfortunately, we don't have a photo of our actual specimen right now. We're in the process of digitizing our entire artifact and objects collections. So this is an example from the Carnegie Museum, but it's very similar to the coffee plant that we have at the Science Museum. And then we also do have a photo, Aaliyah, if you want to hit the next slide, of some coffee-related objects from our anthropology collection. These are from the Tzotzil Maya in Zinacatan, Chiapas in southern Mexico. Chiapas is the largest producer of coffee in all of Mexico. So the Maya there have a strong economic tie to coffee, but they also have a really strong symbolic tie to coffee as well. The items that you see here are gourds and textiles that are used together in ceremonies for the Maya. The gourd usually contains coffee or a corn-based drink, and the textile that you see at the bottom or on the right there will be what they wrap the gourd in as they present it to a ceremonial official or place it on the ground or an altar as an offering. So those are just a couple of the coffee-related items that we have in our collection at the museum, and we're really looking forward to having you all back in the museum as soon as possible to see these items in person. But for right now, I'm going to introduce our new cafe partners at the museum, Bootstrap Coffee Roasters. Bootstrap is brand new to the museum. They're in the Java, where the Java lab used to be now at the museum. Bootstrap was started in 2014 by Michael Savedo, who you see pictured there. They started as a wholesale online roasting company. And then in 2019, they moved to a spot over on the west side of St. Paul, and they added a coffee bar. And their focus is on offering delicious, seasonal, and approachably roasted coffees with great hospitality. And I can tell you, I've been to the West Side location as well as the new bar at the museum, and the team is amazing. They're so friendly, and they brew a mean cup of coffee. So check them out when you get a chance. And then joining us today, you'll see her up on your screen, is Christina Olson. Christina is the coffee bar manager at Bootstrap. She is passionate with connecting with others over coffee and making delicious beverages by pairing great coffee from around the world with the best local ingredients. Today, she's going to show us how a barista crafts the perfect beverage for you. And she's going to prepare one of her favorite coffee specialties. So welcome, Christina. Maybe, yeah? Aaliyah, we can't hear you.
All right. Thank you so much. So as Amanda shared with you, I'm Christina Olson. I'm the coffee bar manager at Bootstrap Coffee Roasters over here on the west side of St. Paul. And I'm so happy to be with you all today. You know, one of the best parts of coffee is the way that it connects us to each other. Those little conversations that we share over coffee, the ways that we share our favorite coffees. That's such an important piece of coffee culture, and I'm so happy that we can do that virtually this morning too. So I wanted to start off by sharing a little bit about the partnership between the Science Museum and us at Bootstrap Coffee Roasters. So we moved in here earlier this fall. Some of you may have had a latte from us if you visited this fall. And it was a very natural fit for us. We feel very strongly connected to the values that the Science Museum holds, that we do as well, values of environmental stewardship and taking care of people. At Bootstrap, we are really passionate about the way that we can do good with our coffee. So we want to be a really strong part of our community through providing, quality jobs and support to our staff. We want to be a strong member of our community on the west side of St. Paul and in the greater Twin Cities area. And then something else that we're really passionate about is the way that we source our coffee. So we pay above market price for the coffee beans that we source. We get them from around the world and oftentimes directly from the producers of the coffee. So something that is really great is when we can connect with the farmers, purchase directly from them. We purchase mainly fair trade and organic certified coffees and coffees from producers who are focusing on, great environmental stewardship. So taking care of the water treatment and recycling, taking care of the folks who are growing and processing the coffee as well through higher wages and through healthcare and housing. So we're really excited to share our coffee with you. Today we're going to be talking about our salted vanilla white chocolate mocha. And this is one of my favorite drinks from our holiday menu at the coffee bar right now. If you all have a chance to stop by, we have a really cute walk-up window. Everything's dressed up for the holidays right now, and we'll be serving these through the new year. This drink has a few ingredients, so I'll tell you all about them. First, we have our flavor syrups. So as a barista is building a drink, the first thing that goes into the cup is the syrup. We have our salted vanilla syrup. I've made this with an applewood smoked salt and raw sugar, water of course, and then vanilla beans from Papua New Guinea. So just like coffees from around the world have different flavor profiles, same goes for vanilla beans. So when we were selecting vanilla for our drinks, we tasted vanilla from Mexico, we tasted it from Madagascar, and then Papua New Guinea, and we selected these for their natural sweetness and their really nice caramelly vanilla flavor. And we have partnered with a local business out of Stillwater, Minnesota called the Vanilla Bean Project to source our vanilla from largely woman-owned vanilla farms in Papua New Guinea. We also have our white chocolate sauce. This is super easy to make at home. It's white chocolate morsels and half and half. Just melt the white chocolate into the cream at a really low temperature. If you like to bring out a little more of a caramelly sweetness to your white chocolate, you can even brown the white chocolate a little bit for a little more depth of flavor. Another ingredient in this drink is going to be the milk. So at Bootstrap, we use cream line, non-homogenized whole milk from Autumnwood Farm. They are located in Forest Lake. It's a family-owned and operated farm where they're really passionate about taking good care of their cows and the environment. And they do all the processing, the bottling, and the delivering themselves. So we feel really fortunate to have a great partnership in them as well. The final ingredient in any great latte is the espresso, of course. So I'm going to tell you all about it. We've all probably tasted some really great espresso and maybe some not so great espresso because there's a lot of variables that go into getting a perfect shot. Espresso itself is made when hot water is sent through coarsely packed coffee grounds under high pressure for a short amount of time. So we're going to talk through exactly what that means. First thing when getting great espresso is choosing your coffee. So at Bootstrap, we use our DIY espresso blend. So this is a blend of coffee made with beans from Ethiopia and Brazil. And different coffees will go out of season at different times of year. So our components in our blends will change depending on what's in season. But we always craft this blend to be creamy and smooth and sweet. A lot of times when folks think about espresso, the first thing that comes to mind is something really dark, really roasty, maybe bitter, smoky. And that is one style of espresso. But for us, we know that any coffee can be made into a great espresso if you do it right. And we really want that sweetness. We want to bring out the natural flavors from each origin of the coffee, whether it's fruity, citrusy, nutty, chocolatey. So instead of really focusing on a roasty flavor, we're going for something a little smoother and sweeter. So in order to create a great extraction or shot of espresso, we need to adjust a whole bunch of variables. So the first one is going to be our grind. So when we're thinking about grinding coffee, we're talking about the varying coarseness or fineness of the coffee. So here's a really coarse ground coffee. Here's one that's much finer, more powdery. The reason that this matters is that as the water is flowing through the coffee, a finer grind, the water will flow more slowly. A coarser grind, it will go much more quickly. So if you imagine pouring water onto a jar full of rocks, the water will flow through very quickly. There's a lot of space between the big rocks. If you were to do the same thing and pour water onto a jar of sand, it would take much longer for the water to reach the bottom of the jar because the grains of sand are so tightly packed together. So the grind of our espresso coffee will really impact how long the water sits on it during the extraction, and that will really impact the flavor. Another thing that I'm adjusting for when I'm dialing in my espresso would be the dose, or how much of the coffee actually goes into the portafilter. So usually it's going to be between 18 and 21 grams, just about. So as I'm tasting espresso first thing in the morning every day at the shop, I am adjusting my grind and my dose and tasting how that changes the way that the espresso tastes. Another variable I'll adjust for is the amount of time that I'm allowing water to flow through the extraction. And on my espresso machine, I get to do that totally manually. Some of the bigger shops will use super automatic espresso machines that do that part, take that variable out for the barista. But at Bootstrap, we get to do it manually and have just that much more control over our extraction. So espresso, let's see, we're going to just go through and pull a shot now. All right. So first things first, I'm going to start with my portafilter here. I'm going to get freshly ground espresso in there to the dose and the grind that I've selected. All right, so then I need to do a really firm and even tamp of my espresso into the portafilter. So this means I'm going to use my tamper tool here to pack the grounds in tightly and evenly. So my goal is that when the water is being poured through, just like, you know, water going through a jar of sand, I want the water to flow through slowly and evenly. If there were a crack in this surface of the espresso here, the water would flow through really quickly and my espresso would under extract. And that would mean the water would not spend enough time developing the coffee grounds and it would come out watery, might come out sour, might even taste like aspirin if you were chewing a pill. Very unpleasant. Nobody wants an Americano with an under extracted espresso shot. It's really disappointing. We're not going to do that today. So I've got a nice even tamp here. And now we're going to pull the espresso, or essentially brew it, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So as I'm extracting the espresso, I'm watching the way that the water is flowing through it. I'm looking for changes in the coloring of the shot as it's coming out. And I'm also watching the time on the clock because when I dialed in, I determined how fast and slow I wanted to do my extraction for it to be most delicious today. So here's our espresso. You can see different parts of the espresso too. So down here we have the heart of the espresso. This is going to be a really thin body, very dark. You can just see a little more light red in the center. That's the body of the espresso shot. And on top we have the crema. So the crema is made up of tiny little CO2 micro bubbles, as well as the fats and lipids from the coffee. And this is the creamiest part of the espresso. It's the smoothest and the sweetest. And if you have a really good quality espresso shot or extraction, that should hang out for around a minute, but it will dissipate. So that's why espresso is a time-sensitive thing. And your barista is always on the clock trying to use it as fast as they can for you, get it incorporated into your beverage. So we're going to start crafting our drink here. So I'm going to pour the espresso into my cup where I've already measured our salted vanilla and our white chocolate sauces. Give it a gentle stir. I don't want to disrupt our crema too much because I'm going to need that around to pour my latte art. And next, we're going to steam our milk. So while steaming milk, I'm listening to the sound of the steam entering the milk. And I'm also feeling the side of my pitcher for the temperature. So the act of steaming milk sweetens the milk, and it also produces the texture that we want. So as a barista, I'm looking for between 140 and 145 degrees on my steam. That's so that it'll be a great temperature for you to drink it at right away. That's also when the milk would be sweetest because I've broken down some of the sugars. It'll also hold this latte art really well, which of course is an important part of the presentation of any latte. And when I'm steaming milk, I'm going for a really nice micro foam. So I want just tiny bubbles, and I want the surface to be glossy. It almost has a texture when I swirl it, kind of like, you know, a bucket of white house paint. There it is. And if I wait too long with this, my milk will stiffen up and it'll actually separate, so the bubbles will all go to the top. And the longer I wait, the uglier the latte art gets. So we're going to start pouring. So if you've been to any coffee shop, you've probably noticed that different baristas have different latte art styles. I always like to go for a tulip. So first, I pour under the crema so that it leaves me a blank kind of canvas to pour onto. And then I'm going to try to pour the micro foam into shapes on top of this. So this has become a little tiny tulip. Okay. All right. So might be a little hard for you all to see, but here we have the finished product, the salted vanilla white chocolate mocha. All right, and I think we'll get a little picture of that up maybe for you all to see as well. Yeah, but that's the beverage. So now I'll turn it back over to Aaliyah, and I'd love to answer some of your questions and keep talking coffee with you all. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. If any of you want to react with a little reaction button and a little hand for Christina, I'll tell her how enthusiastic you are about her presentation. I do have some questions right away. And for all of you, I will put, oh, you've got lots of hands popping up. Everyone's applauding. So I do have some questions popping up, and for all of you who have questions about the process, I will try to pop up a little photo of the finished product in just a moment. But in the meantime, I think I had a couple of questions here. First, Jeff wants to know, where in the milk do you put the steam wand while steaming it?
That's a great question. So it changes throughout the steam, but when you begin, you want to have your steam wand submerged when you turn it on. If you try to, if you turn on the steam wand and then submerge it into the milk, it'll kind of explode on you. You'll also get some really big bubbles. But then I would say it's probably halfway submerged in the surface of the milk. And you want to position your steam wand into the very center of your pitcher as well. You also, I usually like to tilt my pitcher a little bit, and I'm looking for it to be like a whirlpool in there so that I know all the milk's incorporating with each other. It's all getting to the same temperature around the same time. And then I'm listening for the sound of tearing paper. That's what I want to hear.
All right. And Nancy is wondering, she missed where you put the syrup and the sauce. Did that go in the cup?
Oh yeah, great question. So different baristas do this one of two ways. At our shop, for especially when everything is in a to-go cup these days, we put everything, all the flavor syrups directly in the bottom of the cup before we build the drink. So that allows us to know, okay, that's our salted vanilla white mocha. Over here, I have a hot chocolate. It looks different. I know the flavor was in there first. If I'm working with two other baristas, one person's setting up the drink, the other person's getting the espresso. we need to kind of keep it organized that way. But a lot of shops will actually put those syrups into the vessel that they're gonna do their extraction of espresso into. So that it's a more satisfying experience to stir it in there and watch it melt if you got a nice caramel sauce or, but yeah, always into the espresso before you pour your milk.
Wonderful. I have a lot of really nice comments here from people saying they're so excited to visit the shop. We can't wait for you to come back to Java Lab when we open again too.
Thank
But I
you.
do want to remind all of you that and we'll put this in the follow-up email, but if any of you do want to buy any of Bootstrap's products, either at their store over in West St. Paul or online, the code for a little member discount is SMM10. So Science Museum of Minnesota 10, SMM 10. Jack wants to know how much syrup and cream do you put in the coffee?
Yeah, so for this particular beverage, our syrups, we use grams, so I would do 15 grams of each of these flavors. But if I were making something at home, I might be measuring with, ounces or even like a cocktail measurer. And usually for something this size, around 10 ounces, it would be maybe a half an ounce to an ounce of syrup, really to your own liking. But different flavors you'll want different amounts. So we have a really great brown sugar and butter caramel sauce. That one, I find you always need more of that sauce to get the flavor out because the butteriness kind of blends in with the milk. Whereas something really sweet like this white chocolate, a little goes a long way.
Wonderful. So now I have some more general coffee questions. So I'll probably just be able to get to a couple of these. Joe asks, what do you think of the Aeropress? Home espresso machines are really expensive and hard to use. I'm using an Aeropress for my home lattes. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. Many of our baristas, probably half of our baristas at Bootstrap, Aeropress is the way they brew their coffee every morning at home. Yeah, we're big fans of Aeropress, and we like to pull it out at the shop sometimes too. My other go-to is the Chemex at home. It won't give you anything like espresso, but I love to use it for a hot pour over or a cold pour over too, putting ice in the bottom of the Chemex and pouring the hot water over the grounds on top, and makes a really crisp iced coffee as well.
Great. So I think this is the last question I'm going to be able to get to today with Christina, but I did have a question whether we sell the coffee beans for home use, and the answer is yes. You can visit Bootstrap Coffee Roasters online, and don't forget the SMM10 discount. And then Jeff is asking, any tips for a mocha pot?
Ooh, Mocha pot. I personally have not used one. I know that some others at Bootstrap have. So if you called the shop or stopped by the walk-up window, some of them may be able to talk you through more. I know that one, it's really important to have a really nice fine grind on your coffee. And that's something that if you have a grinder at home that's not quite doing that for you, we are able to grind for that at our shop too.
Oh, that's great to know. So, and then I guess I will just get to this last question about water temperature. Is there a water temperature that you prefer, and does it affect the espresso extraction?
Yeah, absolutely. So little tale from my life as a barista. One day I came into the shop and I started pulling espresso to taste, and it came out, the crema was white and watery. The whole shot was super watery, nothing creamy about it, very under extracted. Looked at the temperature and my machine was at 80 degrees. Yeah, the temperature, you nailed it. It's super important. Ours, we need it to be between 198 to 201 is usually where we're going on our little GS3 machine here. Super important. And that goes for if you're If you're really looking to dial in your home brews of any type too, you know, if you're using a Chemex, a pour over, there are kettles that exist where you can choose the temperature, and getting right in that range will change your coffee so much if you're able to. Otherwise, just throwing a thermometer into a kettle if you don't have one with the temperature control like myself, that'll work too.
Great. Well, I think that's all the time we have for questions right now. But I wanted to say thank you to all of you for your support of the museum. We can't wait to see you back here in as soon as we're open again. And in the meantime, we'll continue to be doing quite a bit of virtual programming. On January 28th, we'll be doing our next Coffee with a Curator event, and that is focusing on our Science is All of Us initiative. So watch for an email invitation from us then. Amanda, do you have anything else to add?
Just thank you all so much for your support, like Aaliyah said, and thank you all so much for being here today. I hope you all enjoyed this. I know I learned a lot, and I'm excited to get over to Bootstrap like ASAP.
Well, thank you. And thank you again to Christina. We're so glad to have Bootstrap Coffee Roasters as our partners. And thanks again to all of you for your support. We'll see you very soon, and happy and safe holiday to all of you. Thank you.